The meeting of the Board of Ellis County Commissioners will now come to order. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, can you call the roll, Bobby?
Commissioner Dean Hazelhorst.
Present.
Commissioner Chair Butch Schleier.
Present.
Commissioner No Younger.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Okay. Any changes to the order of business? Okay.
I have none.
Okay, prior minutes. Did you commissioners read minutes from March 1st? Questions, concerns?
I have none.
Okay, minutes stand as presented. Can I get a motion for the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda items A through G.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes 3-0. Okay, issues from persons not on the order of business. Come on up, state your name.
Good evening, Ellis County Commissioners. My name is Jim Pfeiffer. I live 1/2 mile north of the 140th Avenue Bridge, which has been slated for closure. My family and 3 other households use this bridge daily. Without this bridge, we would be forced to travel Feelot Road into Ellis. For the past few years, Feelot Road has consistently flooded, which has made it undrivable and was often closed. Even though Feelot Road was re-rocked this past summer, and as you can see from the pictures that I handed out to each of you, this is what Feelot Road looks like after less than 30 hundredths of rain. I was unable to drive Feelot Road after this recent rain without having to put my vehicle into 4-wheel drive. Furthermore, a vehicle actually got stuck and had to be pulled out. What are we to do if a fire breaks out at our house or one of us needs medical attention and Feelot Road is not suitable for travel? If 140th Avenue Bridge was closed and Feelot Road was inaccessible, we would have to travel out of our way to get to Ellis, where my wife and I both work. In addition, emergency vehicles would not be able to timely answer a distress call at our location. According to the Ellis County FAS and OFF System Bridges Report for the year 2020, there are 10 bridges that have a worse efficiency rating than the bridge on 140th Avenue. Also, there are 9 bridges with a efficiency rating compatible to that of the bridge on 140th Avenue. Why then is the bridge at 140th Avenue being targeted for closure? Is it due to the fact that this is the oldest bridge in Ellis County? This bridge on 140th Avenue has a load rating of 11 to 15 ton per the 2019 bridge report, not 5 ton that has been previously stated. Just the other evening, my wife and I counted 10 vehicles traveling over 140th Avenue bridge span in a span of an hour. The 2019 bridge report reflects an ADT of 30 for the year 2014. Charlie Kinderconnect states that he travels the 140th Avenue Bridge 3 to 6 times a day. It is also traveled by the rural mail carrier, UPS, FedEx, our local neighbors, and farmers. We understand that the financial impact for labor and materials to close this bridge is a minimal cost to the county. But why isn't the community impact also considered? It seems that a mere $1,950 fee for the bridge inspection has more weight and value than the concerns and opinions of your constituents. My family and neighbors would greatly appreciate that you reconsider closing 140th Avenue Bridge until more investigating and community involvement can be had. If this was your main access road, would you truly be closing this bridge? Thank you for your time.
Commissioners, care to respond?
I think there's more people that want to talk.
Okay. Anyone else want to? Come on up, sir. State your name.
My name's Darrell Schuler, and I live at 1758 140th Avenue, right there by the bridge, first one off to the north. I use that road consistently. That's my fastest, easiest way to Highway 40. I very seldom take Feedlot Road unless I'm going to Mass, St. Mary's, or something this way. As my neighbor Dunn stipulated, he pretty well covered every point that I had. I've noticed that that stretch between 140th and I think it's 130th Road there has been eyesore for quite a while. It's a hazard. For anybody that's unfamiliar with that road, if we get high rains, we have flooding, high water. Even after you rock that road during the course of that last summer, you could see water and you could see the mud, or it's seeping up and becoming wet. It's a bog hole. So you got something to do there. Also, you close that bridge, you only leave one access point, and that's from 150th, which is another 2 miles. Also, I ride a motorcycle. Well, I don't ride a country road any more than I have to because it's very risky. I've got the scars to prove it. So anyway, and the only reason I can see their closing of this bridge is because of the $50,000 that you want to take from that and put it somewhere else. Now, I haven't seen any evidence or any proof that this bridge has been deemed unsafe or condemned. The load ratings on that bridge for a single axle truck, and these are posted weights, are 10 ton. Tractor with a trailer with single axle on both, 15 ton. And a truck, a truck with a single axle and a pup trailer with 2 single axles, 26 ton. So if this bridge is unsafe for these load limits, then I suggest you drop the load and leave the bridge intact. Because I've been around that bridge, I walked that creek, I've been underneath it when vehicles pass. I haven't seen anything that scares me to where I wouldn't want to cross it or that I'd back down from using it. Now, as far as, I can count at least 6 people that depend upon that bridge. You've got your mail carrier, you've got my neighbors, you've got the people that farm the ground, run cattle on grass, both sides of that. They use that bridge to access their ground. So basically, you haven't presented any reason for closing that bridge or closing that road. So that's really all I've got. Thank you.
Okay. Does anyone else want to speak?
I am Dwayne Dorsweller. I live at 1348 140th Avenue, just south of there. That bridge has been there. I grew up out there, and I've been out there 60 plus years. I farmed that ground in section 10 on the south side of the creek. I farmed the ground, section 11 on the east side, or east side of the road I meant. And the pasture is got the creek running through it, so when I have to do fencing or check cattle, he come around. Do I have to, even if I'm in with the four-wheeler, do I have to go clear around the section to come to on the south side because you can't drive across it a lot of places, so it's just, and we've been farming that for almost 30 years, so you just kind of go from there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dwayne. Do we want to have comments from anyone else? Commissioners, any comments?
I think maybe we ought to have Brendan come up and
Brendan?
even maybe Bill Ring, because he's familiar with that bridge more than Brendan probably, so.
Yeah. Bill, could you come up?
Brendan McCabe, current Public Works Supervisor, Public Works Director, and Bill Ring, former Public
Bill,
Works.
we inspected that bridge on our road tour with you last time.
Last year and the year before and the year before,
And what are the reasons, the recommendations it be closed?
because it's what's considered fracture critical.
Correct?
If any member underneath it breaks, the bridge will fall in. And looking at, it's 101 years old right now, and looking at a replacement to start would be $1.5 million.
Right. So it's for public safety.
Right. And the weight limit in question on the report and what the engineers have shown us, I think it's actually listed less than actually that's in the report, and that's probably a safety recommendation from them. We can put it at where we feel what the engineers, make their recommendation. He spoke to you about that when he did the report a week ago. It's a single lane bridge, and the $50,000 was a part of it. But how long, when bridges have a life expectancy of 75 years, do we allow it to stand? You can't fix it. There's no way you can beef it up. You can't repair it. You can't add steel to it. If somebody drives over that with an overloaded wheat truck, which we know happens all the time, and they go through it, well, yeah, they're going to be responsible for it, but we could kill somebody.
That bridge could fracture and no one would be aware of it until.
Correct.
Until it actually fell down.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And, we've already had one bridge get driven over in Ellis, which the city ended up having to replace. Their insurance company did, because of an overloaded truck where they thought they could get, it was continually driving over it every day. And it cost them a lot of money, and no one got hurt, thank goodness.
Well, Commissioner Hazelhorst, when we viewed that bridge last time with Bill, I know we talked about safety issues, and as far as the $50,000 goes, that never even entered my mind regarding this bridge.
We're going to get the 50,000 until
Yeah.
Brendan or
Yeah,
Bill
I mean, that,
brought it up. I don't remember which one it was.
yeah, but that wasn't even part of the discussion at that point in time.
Not at all.
And I understand to inspect these bridges costs a lot more than it does to inspect other bridges. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. So a normal bridge, any of the other 200, for the most part, we have a few fracture criticals. Fracture critical doesn't always mean it has to be inspected every year. It's when there's concerns. And those steel truss type that one is, they are required to be inspected every year. So normal, any other bridges, it's $80 rough cost every 2 years for an inspection. That one is done every year, and the most recent price quote we got was $1,900. The fracture critical inspection means that the inspector has to be within 18 inches of every portion of the bridge. So for that one, it's a lot of ladder work. We have a few others that require specialty trucks to come out to inspect.
Brendan, have you seen them pictures that Linda had by chance? Or Bill?
I have not.
I drove the road Sunday.
Okay.
I went into Ellis.
Can have this if you want.
And I'm not sure exactly what happened, because you have Feedlot Road, and they're absolutely correct. 400 block of Feedlot Road has been taking a beating. I've brought it to you guys for years. And unfortunately, it's all the drainage coming off the interstate that comes down at the low end, just about the halfway point between 130 and 140. We finally got that pretty well solved, and now on the east end,
Over the next hillside, there's a spring that's coming up through the road.
Do
So we've
you
been-
think
But-
if we added more culverts to that road and
but
elevated?
I don't know, but if the water's coming up like it does, I live on Feedlot Road.
I know.
Okay? There's times I can't get out of my house because of the water. And that's, I understand it. My road can be as bad if not worse than that, so I just, but if it's a spring truly coming up, it'll be similar to what happened at 240th, where we shelved an entire section of road into a farm field.
Exactly.
If it's not water going under the road and it's coming up, I mean,
On that there, Brendan, I know you drove it too.
Yeah, that's right, just east of where the water was crossing the road. where the
I drove
county's
out
put
there
more-
I drove out there the other
Yeah.
day and looked at it. It wasn't
that's where all the new
that muddy.
culverts
Yeah.
are down there before you go up to Trick's house,
Correct.
right there.
Camp yet.
Yeah.
Yep, so we've been discussing that at the office, possible solutions for that. Putting a perforated pipe like they did up on 240th, clearing the ditch. The culvert, there's a culvert in there, if you look in the
Yeah.
ditch close enough, but
There is.
it's been silted shut, for the most part, and the downstream side of it's pretty well silted in, so we're gonna be plan was,
I mean, I think we'd have to add, and I don't know, I'm not an engineer, but I think we'd have to add culverts to that end, elevate that road. You kind of a Bill Gree. I know when you were out there and looked at it too, that'd be,
Yeah.
I guess I think that's something I think we really need to look at. I don't want to trap the Pfeiffers in their house if they happen to have a fire or need an ambulance. I mean, I don't want to do that, or anybody out there. I don't care who the neighbor is, but,
yeah.
I think we need to look at that about what it's going to take to fix that road properly, because, I know they're upset that they don't feel they got notified, and landowners typically don't, that we've done in the past. We haven't notified landowners when we close a bridge, and I think that's something, Darren, going forward, we probably, if we close another bridge along the way, I think we really need to let them know, so they don't read it on Hayes Post and find out a surprise if they don't get the Hayes Daily or whatever. I don't even know if it was in the Hayes Daily, but I think I would like to see a report on what it would take to fix that stretch of Feedlot Road and definitely rock it and elevate it. I know Bill's brought it to us, I think, over the past 3 years, I'm gonna say, and we've talked about it, but we've never talked about closing the bridge until in the last year, I guess, but, so maybe if that's something you can
It was-
investigate tomorrow for us, what that would
Yeah, it was
actually
submitted
take
as
to
part,
elevate it, and maybe if we gotta add some more culverts to it, or
Yes.
whatever the case would be, but I guess I'd like to see your thoughts on it and
okay.
maybe get with Bill too, because he's dealt with it for 10 years
Yeah.
or longer.
And again, I mean, the biggest reason is the safety of the structure.
I mean, the safety of the structure concerns me. I wouldn't drive across it. When I was out there the other day, I drove around it just like, I don't know, one of them was talking about, I drove the other way around 2 miles. I mean, I wouldn't drive a piece of farming equipment across it for
I
nothing.
wouldn't, because unfortunately, it's the exact same thing that happened in the city of Ellis. The one that goes through it is gonna buy the bridge,
Exactly.
and it's costly.
It is. I mean, if you had to buy that bridge, I don't care who it was, if they fell through with their tractor, pickup, truck, whatever, I mean, it's gonna cost somebody over $1 million.
Oh, but $1.5 million on the cheap side, and then you'll have issues with alignment. You've got a home to the south that's close to the bridge.
Exactly.
There's not enough right-of-way currently for a true bridge there. That's why it's one lane. So if a new bridge was to be put in, it would be off alignment, which is something you try, and when you replace old bridges,
Wanna
you try
fix
and
it.
realign it so it's a straight shot, not off alignment.
Exactly. I agree. Like I said, I was out there and drove it too, but if you would, maybe if you could look at that, what it'd take to fix Feedlot Road.
Yes, sir.
I mean, it's gonna take lots of rock, as both of you know,
Yep.
and probably some culverts.
So Commissioner Hazelhorst, what I'm hearing you say is we should forestall the closure until we can look at the road situation?
I don't like it because of the safety issue, but yes, I think I'd like to see a report from Brendan by next Monday. Brendan, is that sufficient?
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
No, because we need a decision.
Not like putting you on the spot, but
Yeah, well, I need a
have us
decision by the
report next
22nd.
Monday to see what you think, how many loads of rock, how many culverts, et cetera.
Yep.
And like I say,
And also a timeline on that, too.
yes, how quick we could do it, and maybe deal with your predecessor, because he's real familiar with it, because he lives out there.
Yes, sir.
But I think even if we can get that road fixed up, we do have to make sure that bridge gets closed just for public safety.
Yeah, I mean, but we need to have access for the folks
Sure.
out
Oh,
there.
absolutely.
I mean, like say, fire, ambulance, whatever, the ambulance can't get stuck going to somebody's house, that's,
So it was submitted for closure under the KLBIP, the Kansas Local Bridge Improvement Program. That's for structures that are 20 to 50 feet, minimum maintenance, or minimum trafficked. So this bridge wouldn't be eligible. We wouldn't receive enough funding to make it worthwhile to replace this bridge with it. That's, I'm guessing, why you turned it in, to get the funding from the state to help cover the cost
Okay.
of the other one.
I remember when we did that, I mean, there was reasons why. So, yeah.
And there's no money, I mean, there's no money from the feds or the state to be able to build a new bridge. I
Right.
mean, that's taxpayer, it would be taxpayer funded, to the tune of, north of $1.5 million. Because you have a large stretch across the creek, and again, then you've got right-of-way issues, you're gonna have to buy right-of-way, alignment, I mean, you could be $2.5 million.
Yeah.
Okay.
Commissioner Younger, you have anything to say?
Yes, I did yesterday drive that bridge. I thought back when I was 12 that bridge made a lot of noise, driving across with the combine. It really makes a lot of noise now. I didn't realize it because I don't drive that road. I'm looking out for the safety of everybody in our community. If the truck does fall through there or fractures it, one of the bridge planks, could be a load of kids out cruising the country. They fall through, kill 3 of them, injure 2. I don't even want to go that way. I don't like that. That is for our safety. Feedlot Road, I grew up out in there, so I drove that road a lot, going north to Ellis, the property we had. I guess we're gonna have to ask for some cooperation on the landowner where the water goes across. Yes, there's a culvert. If you look on the south side, it's possibly, and I didn't put a tape measure to it, 2.5 to 3 foot below. As we all know, water doesn't run uphill, so I too am in agreement with the ditches getting cleaned out, putting another culvert or 2, but downstream of that is going to have to be cleaned out, because as you look at it, not even put a transit to it, it's uphill. When I did grow up in there, there used to be a draw that ran through there that went to that Y, that actually went to Big Creek. Over the years, it's silted in. So if we can get some cooperation from everybody, I think we can fix that road up. Put some big material in the bottom, not telling you what to do, but, and put some perforated pipe in there. Do everything we can to help these people out and make that road safe also. So that's my,
Okay. So could you check into all that, Brendan?
Yep, we've been doing that at the office, and
Okay,
been talking with,
And a timeline,
yep,
please.
will do.
okay.
You want the photos back?
If you don't have a copy, you can have Linda gave them me before the, oh, do you? Okay.
And that one.
That top picture, that road was not like that till we got less than 3,000 from it.
Ellis County's in a drought.
This is from the rain. This road was not like that till it rained.
I don't know what happened, it wasn't, I mean, I drive in there, and that is never broke loose in front of Ronnie's house like that. It's always been at the other end, and
Well, if you get underground,
Well,
underground
exactly.
springs, that could be some of water coming up. I mean, if
They
there's a,
just re-rocked it this summer, or this past summer. It should have been taken care of when that was all getting re-rocked.
but if a spring came up out of it from underneath it, rocking it's not gonna help.
That's the exact same thing, Ronnie, that's not gonna help the issue here. been that way for 10 or
There's
15
two,
years.
there's 2 years back that that road is just like that.
You just said it yourself, rocking is not.
Not if there's a spring underneath,
Okay, so then re-rocking it's not gonna do a thing.
unless we can figure out a way to get more drainage, which is what we had happen. We lost an entire section of road into a field.
So let's spend $100,000 of dollars, not $1,900.
The 1,900 is just the inspection cost. You still have an unsafe bridge. Or it could, well,
There's never been a combine, there's never been a tractor because it's not wide enough. I can guarantee you that. Not a combine fits across it, not a tractor fits across it. Ever. That bridge is not wide enough.
The small vehicles go across there, and I've been out there 16-plus years.
I've been out there for 24, and my family's been around.
Okay, Brendan,
Yes, sir.
go ahead and check that out for us, bring it back to us next Monday, and we'll go from there.
All right. will
Okay,
do.
thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Bill, for the 2020, for next year, what bridge was identified if this program?
Okay, appraiser update, Lisa.
Okay.
No.
Well, see if we can get going here.
Yep, it's not working.
Lisa, that was pretty interesting what you sent us out. Was that today, right? Yeah, today. Thanks for sending that out. That was very interesting.
Well, it was up there for a minute.
There we go. All right. All right. Lisa Ree, County Appraiser. I'm here this evening to kind of give you a heads up what's going to be happening next week and in the near future. Our office will be mailing our real estate valuation notices to all the real property owners next week on March 15th. And many of the owners will notice a significant increase in their property's valuation. And I'm here to discuss why that may be the case. Just to give you a little reminder as to what the county appraiser's duties are, it can be simply stated as discover, list, value, and certify. First, we discover properties and any property changes through building permits, conditional use permits, from property owners, through sales of properties, and our own inspections. After we discover the property, then we list the property. And for residentials, the basics include measurements from the exterior of the house, features that we can determine or we gather from the property owner. Commercial property is basically the same. We get measurements of the building from the outside and the attachments, and including any features of the structure. And if we go back to skip to the last step, which is certify, the county appraiser must certify real and personal property values to the county clerk on or before June 1st of each year. And then we go to the main reason why I'm here this evening is value. According to state statute, the county appraiser is to value property, real property at fair market value. And the statute defines that as the amount in terms of money that a well-informed buyer is justified in paying a well-informed seller and is justified in accepting for property in an open and competitive market, assuming that the parties are acting without undue compulsion. And basically that says in an open market what a willing buyer is prepared to pay a willing seller for a property. And we set the fair market value for properties in the county as of January 1st. To give you a little background, the Kansas Department of Revenue Division of Property Valuation conducts a ratio study annually for each county in the state. The ratio study looks at open market sales of properties in Ellis County and compares the sale price to our value. We are considered in compliance if our values are within plus or minus 10% of the sale price. That allows a range of 90% to 110% of the appraised value when compared to the sale price. And this first illustration I have up here gives a history of the state's ratio study for our residential properties. As you can see, from 2009 to 2015, on average, our appraised values were within at least 5% of the sale price. In 2016, we were starting to see the effect the drop in oil prices was having on the local real estate market. Although we were consciously holding values down because of that, on average, we were still just slightly over 100%, but still within the state's guidelines. Then we get to 2020. Although the state hasn't completed their ratio study yet for 20, I've looked at our 20 residential sales and compared it to our 20 values. And you can see on the average, our appraised values for 2020 are 94% of the sale price. So, why is that? Part of the reason could be attributed to record low mortgage interest rates. According to a couple local banks, the average residential mortgage rate for the last 4 months ranges from 2.5% to 3.375% for a 30-year fixed loan. The lowest rate for a 15-year mortgage was 2.125%. As one loan officer stated to me, some of their clients have been able to afford a larger purchase price for a home due to the lower interest rates. The 2021 Ellis County Housing Outlook, published by Wichita State University Center for Real Estate, illustrates what the mortgage rates have done. Although their data is derived from the Mortgage Bankers Association, our local trend for mortgage rates is very similar to that. Another factor that's driving our home sale prices higher is simply supply and demand. Earlier this year, I visited with a local realtor, and he stated that on that day, there were 35 homes for sale that were on the market in the county, compared to over 150 last year. A quick search last Friday of homes for sale indicated that trend has continued. He also stated there were homes that were selling for more than the asking price. WSU also provided an illustration of the inventory of homes available for sale in Ellis County. The effect of this shortage of homes for sale is simply higher sale prices. Again, supply and demand. A search of the Hayes MLS indicated in 2019, Ellis County saw 328 home sales, while in 2020, we had 408 sales. The average sale price was $165,419, and for 20, it was $189,310. So let's look at our own data. So you can see that we saw more home sales in 2020 and higher sale prices in all the price ranges I broke out there. Also, the average sale prices have increased. As I stated, the county appraiser's job is to value homes at fair market value. All of these factors I've mentioned, the low mortgage rates, the low supply of homes for sale, and the higher sale prices of homes have had an effect on that fair market value that we set. And this will be reflected on our 2021 residential values. We get asked numerous times each year when our valuations go out, what is the average increase of property values for that year, especially for residential homes? I can usually give a good range of that percentage, but this year is just a little different. Depends on the factors such as where in the county the house is located, the age, the size, the features of the homes, and what similar homes we're selling for. We saw some areas, especially in Hayes, where it was typical for values to increase at least 7%. And one section of Hayes saw even higher increases, at least 10%. Again, this is attributed to those local market factors that I just talked about. And after with conversation with other counties and the property valuation department at the state, This residential market situation is not unique to us. It is happening in other counties. It's happening all over. So I've talked about residential, so now let's talk about commercial. The state also conducts a sales ratio on commercial property sales, just like they do for our residential. And the big difference between these two classes of properties is the number of sales. We have significantly less commercial properties in residential, which means less sales, less commercial sales to compare to our values. Of all the properties that sold in 2020, only 8% were classed as commercial. Buyers of commercial properties have different criteria than someone purchasing their home. Some of those criteria could be, is the location good for that type of business? Is it being purchased for the buyer's own use, or is it being purchased for tenant use? And does the building suit the buyer's needs? In my opinion, this and the lack of sales makes it harder to estimate commercial property values. Regardless, according to the state's study, our commercial values have historically been low. So we're seeing this year that it's typical to have commercial values increase 5%, 5 to 6%. Then we have agricultural land. Ag land is not valued at market value, rather it's valued at a use value, which is set by the state. In the past, we saw significant increases in ag land values. However, they seem to have leveled off a little bit. But for 2021, on average, cropland value per acre has decreased slightly. But the pasture land, we've seen a significant increase in pasture land values. So that's what I have this evening. I wanted to give you, since we have such a big change in our market, I thought it was important to let you and the public know what's going on. And if a property owner questions their valuation, I encourage them to contact our office. They can request a copy of their property record card. If it's a residence, if it's a home, they can request a copy of their comparable sheet. That comparable sheet will show their house, some basic characteristics of it, plus the homes that were used, the sales that were used as comparables for their property. Like I said, we'll be mailing out our notices on Monday, March 15th. If a property owner wants to have a hearing on their property valuation, then they just need to contact our office by April 14th. There's this time window that they can do that, so by April 14th. And I anticipate not holding those hearings in person again this year, but probably we'll do them all by phone.
Okay.
It was a lot of information. Do you have any questions for me?
Commissioners, any questions?
I really don't. What you sent out today was great, so thank you very much for doing that. That answered probably most of my questions. I already knew how your housing thing was going,
Yeah.
talking to some realtors, so
Yeah,
they're looking for homes.
yeah.
Sure, you have it?
No, thank you, Lisa.
Okay.
All right,
Thank you, Lisa.
thank you.
Okay, emergency management resolution. Darren?
Good evening, Darren. Darren Myers, Ellis County Director of Fire and Emergency Management. Tonight, we have in front of you some additional action in regards to the appointment of myself as the county administrator last week. We decided to split some of the duties between the Fire and Emergency Management Office, and up here tonight is Lyle. I'll put him in the hot seat, and he can come up and introduce himself to you and let you ask him a whole bunch of questions. But with the changes last week, Lyle Panel is very qualified and willing to step up and serve as the emergency manager for Ellis County. And by tradition in the years past, just because it is a state statute that the county is required to notify them and appoint an emergency manager for the county, we've done so with a resolution, and the resolution is in your packet to rename Lyle as the emergency manager. He's been with us, actually a little bit of fun history, I guess, in some means. He started on a Monday October of 2019.
2019.
He started on a Monday, 2019. That following day, on a Tuesday night, was when Phil approached me and said he was leaving to go to Saline County. So on his day 2, he had to step up significantly for Ellis County to start learning not only the assistant job, but also a lot of what I did, the operations, as well as emergency management. Unfortunately, through that time frame, we had to start dealing with COVID, so he had to step up a lot within emergency management, learn the duties of it, and did a lot what I couldn't do. But with COVID, it's shutting everything down. We hadn't been able to send everybody out to the different types of training that is needed. We were on task to do that, and it was my goal to get him as a certified Kansas emergency manager. There's a significant amount of criteria, training courses, and certifications that you have to do, and the state just completely shut them down. So once those get back open, they're slowly starting to release some virtual classes. We'll get him there and get him through those classes, but I'll be here to help him out and get us back up to that point. I know he's excited to step into this, so I'll turn it over to him for a few if you like.
Okay. Lyle,
Good evening, Assistant Director, Ellis County Fire and Emergency Management.
so are you excited to be emergency manager?
I am. My goal's kind of been to have a budget that I get to work with and kind of groom to make it my own thing a little sooner in my career than I had anticipated, but I think it's going to be a great opportunity for me. I haven't developed any bad habits yet, so I won't have to break anything.
That's good. It might get into your fishing time, though.
It could. That's all right, though.
Commissioners, questions for Lyle?
Not really. I know he's been with us and doing, working under Darren, and Darren worked under Bill, and it's just been, kept progressing and to where we are today. So we're excited to have you on board. Thank you very much for wanting to step up to the plate and take that over and maybe give Darren a little more time so he doesn't have to try to wear 3 hats. So that'll be even better. So thank you again for stepping up.
Thank you.
Commissioner Younger?
I had never got to meet you, heard nothing but good from that guy over there about you. Say I'm new, but welcome aboard, and you have somebody at least to fall back onto if needed, and for good training, so welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Okay, Commissioners, do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion, I move to approve the resolution 21-05, appointing Lyle Pentel as the Ellis County Emergency Manager.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lyle.
Thank you.
To the new position. I guess you've already been on board, but welcome to the new position.
Okay, the 2022 budget calendar. Darren?
Continuing on here, within your packet is a overview of what the next couple months will look like in regards to our county's 2022 budget process and the development of it. Just to kind of summarize it into Forestry Service is calling. Hopefully they're not asking for help. We actually, sidebar here, a lot of the western Kansas is in a red flag warning today, tomorrow, the next couple of days, and they're actually mobilizing a wildland strike force, task force team, and they're staying in Hayes this evening. So hopefully, I tried to convince Lyle to call the governor back and tell her to deploy him somewhere else, but I guess it's a good thing that we have them here in case we do need them. But going back to the budget. As the commission is aware, each year we kind of set some parameters at the beginning of the year. We look at the forecast, we develop a calendar, and then we ask for some direction from the commission. At this point, we're at the point where the commission would review a calendar and kind of give us some approval that these dates work for the commission. I won't go over the entire calendar to a T, but it basically breaks it down that after this evening, if the approval of this calendar, the commission will reconvene next Monday at your regular meeting and kind of give staff an overview of what you would like to see the elected officials and department heads to do with their budgets, whether it's to cut, to add, or et cetera, stay flat. But with the calendar is basically through the month here of March and into April, they will develop their budgets per your direction from next week. And those will be collected and presented back to the commission come May. And then after that, the capital plan and any slight budget revisions will be done into May and then represented to the commission at the end of June. Or as well as in June's when all the outside agencies come to speak before the commission and submit their plans for funding. And then kind of July at a meeting, if more than one is necessary, but in July, the commission will approve the budget as presented for public hearing, which is then follows into August. And we have a public hearing and then the commission adopts the budget. So with the plan, the calendar that's in place, that's how we look for the next couple months. And I will say this year's calendar is a lot different than last year. There was a lot more work. We started earlier. As the commission is aware, we had the sales tax, which we didn't know the results of, and we didn't make any pay adjustments later in the year. Now that we know the results of the sales tax, as well as the commission has already made pay adjustments for the year, there's very little work on the back end of this to make a whole secondary process to go through to represent it to the commission. The only thing I did forget in there is I did have 2 special meetings that we can discuss as we get closer on June 10th and 11th would be the 2 half-day sessions where the department heads and elected officials meet with the commission and present their budgets to you. That's usually an 8 to noon type deal on a Thursday and Friday, and we can confirm those as we get closer, but if those will work. Any questions?
I reviewed the calendar. Looks like a good plan, Darren. Similar to last year's calendar, but like you say, there's differences. So, Commissioner Hazelhorst?
I too reviewed it, and I think doing the budget this year will be much easier than in years past, as you've already looked at, I know, and I know Mr. Jeter has looked at it, so I think it'll be a lot easier to adopt a budget this year and going forward with the adjustments we've already made.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a lot easier to work with.
Commissioner Younger?
It's going to be new to me, and it's going to be interesting, so I'm looking forward to that, to see how the process is.
Okay. Thank you.
I guess with that, just as a reminder, you got about 7 days to come together with some ideas, if any suggestions you like to see with any departments, to give them that initial feedback or direction up front, so that way they can present that budget, hopefully the first time, instead of having to reevaluate it in several months. But that'll be a discussion topic next week's agenda meeting, is any adjustments you would like to see created into the 2022 budget.
One thing I would throw out, Darren, I think I already talked to you about it, was the grow haze. Maybe starting to refund that, step by step, not all at once, of course, but step by step. I think that's something we should look at, and we've robbed from Public Works Department forever. And it'd be nice to help reinstate some of that money too, going forward, of road projects, et cetera, bridge projects, so.
As Brendan's still here, we've discussed an idea that we'd like to bring to the commission here in the coming months to help fund bridges, specifically in the county, which would then free up the roadside to work on that. So, as Brendan gets his feet wet, a little wetter each month we get through here, he'll have a presentation to bring forth in the coming months as we get into the budget process.
Okay. Okay, the next item then is the fire engine replacement. Darren?
Back in November 19th, the commission approved or allowed myself to go out to visit with Sourcewell to look at the government pricing contracts for fire engines. And we've since then been in contact with them for several months to go over the specifications for a new truck. Within the last couple of weeks, the commission is aware that we had some significant fires, structure fires, bale fires, grass fires, of all sorts. They've been very busy. However, this truck that we were actually looking to replace tonight, the fire pump failed in it, And the repair bill is looking to be, just in parts alone, 17,000, probably about another 5 to 8,000 for labor to get everything back up, and then probably some additional work to get the pump tested afterwards, assuming that everything's okay. The amount of labor is somewhat high because of where the pump is located, plus all the plumbing, the manifolds, all the piping to get all the fire pump, the water flowing. That truck's 26 years old, and as the commission is aware, you keep water in stainless steel pipes. Eventually, it does start to rust and rot, and pinhole leaks and starts failing. So when they started tearing it apart, they found so many repairs, they were almost just having to cut it apart and replace it. It's been sitting out at John Dryling's, and I commend John Dryling, Dryling Field Service, for the amount of work that he's done for us out there trying to get this taken care of. He's really been good to work with. Since then, last week, since Thursday night when the packet actually came out, we got notified by Scott City and the Scott County Fire Department. They learned of our situation, and they offered almost the similar type truck from the Scott County Fire Department to us to loan and lease for the next 13 months. So we wouldn't have to spend $25,000 on our old fire truck, which would then get turned around and sold for about $5,000. So you'd have a significant loss. They are offering to lease us this truck at no cost. We're just going to fix their Wildland grass pump on it, which would very minimal cost, and give them some fire hose at the end of it when we replace the fire hose that we have. So that saved the county, tens of thousands of dollars, and also gets a fire truck back on the street to responding to fires. And to be honest with you, just the other night, we had a barn fire northwest of town, and we had to wait for the fire truck to get there from Ellis. It didn't have an impact on the fire because it was in the middle of the night, but that's just the reality of the situation that we're in. So I like to especially thank Chief Mayor out in Scott County for allowing us to have that fire truck. They went down, picked it up on Friday. The firefighters actually were there about 4 or 5 in the morning on Saturday morning to start putting equipment back on it. And Scott County came up on Saturday or Sunday and started doing some pump testing, some training, making sure everything was functional, flushing everything out. So a great deal of thanks to the Scott County Fire Department, their fire chief, and their county commission. What is not in the package tonight is a lease agreement stating that we're going to be using that truck. And if the commission is approved, their commission is reviewing it at this point. They've already basically given their preliminary approval, but they have to go through the formal process just as we do here to get that signed. They will get it to us, and then I'll bring it back to the commission to sign it as well. Mr. Jeter actually drew up the contract for us on a Friday afternoon when he was probably wanting to go home for the week, but he got it for us, and so I appreciate Mr. Jeter's help. It's just the community and the counties, when we have problems like this, I'm probably going to start rambling on, but it's just amazing how fire departments come together from county to county, city to county, and work together in an effort like that. So, so it's kind of a multi ask for the commission tonight. One is to allow a motion to allow the commission chair to sign the lease agreement from Scott County when we get it signed and returned back. And 2 is to approve the government, the Sourcewell pricing for the new fire truck to replace it. Like I say, it's 13 months out. The contract says the build time is 395 days, so we don't expect that here until April or May of next year.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions for Darren?
When that truck gets here, that'll be all rigged up and ready when it gets here?
We'll basically have to do the exact same thing what we did over the weekend. It'll come in, have to get it outfitted, switch equipment, do some initial training. We'll put the firefighters through a driver training portion of it so they can drive it around before it goes on emergency calls. They'll learn how to operate the pump and the equipment on it, similar to what we're doing here.
Okay. Commissioner Younger?
Just like to thank
Okay.
you and Mr. Jeter for taking his time to make that all work in the community.
Thanks to Scott County.
Yeah.
Pass our thanks on to them also, if you would, for working with
Absolutely.
us and getting us out of a bind.
That's very generous of them.
It was.
Very
nice.
generous.
that contact actually came from Rusty Lindsay, sitting out here. He's the company chief for 5 here. He actually came here from Scott County before he moved to here. So his contacts is kind of how this came about. It wasn't anything on my behalf. It was him that got that through to us.
And we need a motion to sign that lease agreement? For Scott
Motion
County?
for the lease agreement, as well as a motion that's in the agenda packet to the purchase of the new fire truck.
Well, I'll make a motion that the commission chair sign the lease agreement with Scott County for the used fire truck.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Do I hear a motion for the fire engine?
You, I'll go.
Go ahead.
I'll move to approve the purchase of the new 2022 Rosenbauer engine for the commission chair and fire chief to sign the attached purchase contract.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0.
I should probably give mention to Dunans out north of town as well. Myself and Dean had many conversations with Dunans out there to try to get us into one of their trucks. It just wasn't, the pricing wasn't right at this time, but we have Bill Rowe out there spent a lot of time trying to get us into something that was appropriate, but we ran into a lot of different conflicts. The main thing was just the price. The Peterbilt's just a more expensive chassis, and
What, 30,000 more, I think?
just off the top, they said they were estimating $42,000 to $45,000 more for the chassis.
Yeah.
And we were, since we're talking about price, I think I put it in the agenda. I think we were exactly $1,047 under what I have in the capital plan budget for it. So
Good job.
that's.
Okay. County Administrator report. Darren?
Guess I'll just keep talking. Two things. One, I was going to try to present a little bit of information on our Midwest Energy bills to the commission this evening, and I'd been talking, or I put a call through to Jeff Yunker, which is where our secondary sourcing is for the purchase of gas. So I will probably put that off into next week's agenda. I had a sticky note here. Most of our prices that are coming back for the county are about 7 to 8 times our normal rates. And the bills that I have are totaling just over $85,000 for the month of February, where they all would be combined less than 10,000. So it's a significant jump, and trying to work on those. So I'll hopefully have some information back to the commission next week on that and our
Is
plan.
Midwest Energy going to make any considerations on those bills?
I can't speak to that yet. I've tried to get them all collected. I didn't want to make a phone call and say, well, I don't know what this one is yet. But as of today, this morning, I got the last bill. So I was trying to work with them and see what, doesn't sound like they will be making any reductions in price. But I don't want to speak to anything that I haven't heard from them directly yet.
Mm-hmm.
But just wanted the commission to know that the county is also impacted by the
Sure.
rising gas prices. The last thing, which I spoke to you each individually today, is about the rehiring of employees. In the past, we've kind of went back from this as being in the interim position. When a employee quits or is terminated or retires, if the position is budgeted for and the position stays the same, would the commission be willing to let that termination of rehiring that employee stay within the department head with the approval of the county administrator? Or do you want that full, every time an employee is rehired, to come back to the commission for approval?
I think the commission ought to realize that we aren't staffed, or we aren't overly staffed. And if a department head loses a employee, they should be able to consult you. And if you deem that employee is indeed necessary for the operation, there's no need to come to the commission. That's my opinion on it. Commissioner Younger?
Yeah, that's also, I would go along with that, because That's why we have them in place to do that. Definitely in favor of that, letting the heads.
Commissioner Hazelhorst.
I agree. I talked to Darren earlier today about it, and as long as we're not adding staff or
Right.
just replacing staff, I'm 100% in favor. But if we're adding staff, I think we need to know.
Mhm.
If they're looking at adding staff, we definitely need to know. But if it's somebody quits, retires, I mean, I think it's well within their department to rehire that person.
I'll let them know that if, unless they're hiring a new position or changing the classification or the job description itself,
Mhm.
those cases need to come back to the commission.
Okay.
With that, that's all I got.
Okay, County Commission reports. Commissioner Hazelhorst.
Boring life this past week. Sorry, I have nothing to report, sir.
Okay, Commissioner Younger.
About the same.
Okay, and I have no report.
The KAC convention is still a go-ahead as planned as of right now, October something. I can't remember the dates.
That'll be in Kansas City this year?
It's in Kansas City this year at the Overland Park Convention Center, but as of now, it's still a plan, go ahead, full steam. I'm gonna say it's like the 15th through the 18th, but I'd have to look back.
Okay. Okay, with no other business, the meeting will adjourn at 5:59.
Jason's here, does he have anything? Or I don't know. That's not,
Did you have something, Jason?
no.
Okay.
Thank you all for coming, Mr. Jeter.
The what?